Hey everybody, how's it going? Steve here, and I've got another unboxing for you. This time we're taking a look, obviously, at the Sega Genesis Mini, which doesn't come out till the end of September. But our friends at Sega were kind enough to send us over a unit early so that we could unbox it and do some gameplay with it. For now, all I can show you is this. We'll have much more to come, but I wanted to open it up for you on camera and take a look at it. So, first things first, it's got this nice retro style package. This is pretty reminiscent of the original Sega Genesis packaging with this black grid line pattern. They were known for this kind of stuff in the 8 and 16-bit eras. You can see we've got the Sega Genesis 30th anniversary seal there, which makes me feel incredibly old. And it calls out right on the front that it includes Sonic, which I don't think is much of a surprise to anyone. Taking a look at the side, well, we've just got a logo here. Taking a look at the other side, we've got all the stuff that's in the box, but we'll be showing you that in just a second. So let's go ahead and flip it over, and here we have a list of all the games included. So we've got, you know, the standouts, the Sonic games, Sonic Spinball 1 and 2. Unfortunately, no Sonic 3 in this package, which is a little disappointing. We've got one of my favorites, Shinobi 3. We've got Golden Axe, which was an arcade hit back in the day. And we've got a couple unreleased games, or what they're calling bonus titles. Darius and Tetris. I could have sworn one of those is not released, or maybe neither of them made their way west. We do, however, have Mega Man The Wily Wars, which definitely didn't make its way west, and which Ash would punish me severely for not mentioning. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and just open this up and take a look at what's inside. We'll go ahead and turn it around here and open this pull tab. We will open the lid up here and pull back the cover. And right on top, we've got an AC adapter. It's a USB AC adapter, it looks like. Similar to what we have in the NES and SNES Classic. We'll go ahead and put that off to the side here. Looking back, we've got another cable. That's our USB cable that goes to it. I'm not going to bother unwrapping that. We've all seen USB cables before, I hope. Looks like there's another piece of plastic. Okay, and that's just an HDMI cable, which obviously we'll need to hook up the console. So, looking here, we've got something what looks to be... Oh, let's pull it out. And yeah, this is definitely a controller. Let's go ahead and pop the seal on that guy. And open it up, and there you go. You can see the controller. I'm going to move the box out of the way so that we can actually get a better shot of this, but this is nice. This feels very similar, if not exactly like what a launch model Genesis controller felt like back in 1989. It's got a nice texture on the D-pad. It's a little rougher than I remember, but I mean, I haven't held a brand new Genesis controller in decades, so that could just be my mind playing tricks on me. You've got your A, B, and C buttons. Those are nice and clicky, responsive. It's got a good weight in the hand. The start button feels similar, if not exact, to how the original was. And unfortunately, we get the 3-button controller. Later on in the Genesis's life, it did get a 6-button controller, which was ideal for Street Fighter, which is included in the Genesis Mini. So playing it with a 3-button pad might feel a little weird. Let's go ahead and move on. Coming out of the box, we have our second controller. We already covered the controller pretty in depth, so that leaves just one thing hiding in this smaller box in a box, and we can already see the Sega logo, so that tells me that this is the console itself. Let's go ahead and find out how we open this. Looks like, alright, right there from the side. And there we are. Let's go ahead and take this out of the plastic bag and get a much closer look at this. This is the console itself. I did get to look at one of these at E3, and it doesn't look like they've changed it much since then. They told me, or rather Sega told me, that this was that this case was designed by the person that designed the original Genesis. So they had the same people work on this that worked on the console back in the day. And you can tell there's a real attention to detail here. You can see the on-off switch is nice, has this satisfying click to it. You've got your reset button down here, which I'm told does work. That, you know, is just very clicky, very responsive. It's a nice hard plastic. And then you've got your volume slider here. Now this doesn't work. On the original Genesis, there was a 3.5mm headphone jack in the front, and you could use this to control the volume coming through the headphones. In place of that, there seems to be a power LED now. At least I believe that to be a power LED. See, oh, I'm sorry. So there's not a power LED there at all, actually. It says phones, which is what was there on the front, and the place where the hole would have been, the 3.5mm jack, is just kind of a indented piece of plastic. Your power LED, just as with the original Genesis, is right up here on top, and you have an openable cartridge slot. You can't plug anything in here, but it is a really cool detail. And then right up front you have two USB ports, because the Genesis controllers included use USB instead of the original proprietary plug that the Sega Genesis used back in the day. Now, coming back to the back of the device, we've got our HDMI logo, which definitely wasn't a thing back then. We've got an HDMI port, definitely wasn't a thing either, and our micro USB power supply slot. So all of this is different, and that's obviously to be expected. We're not going to stick around with the huge plugs that we had for the Sega Genesis back in the day. One of the more interesting tidbits that Sega showed me at E3, and hopefully it's still in this model, is that this right here, let's hope I'm not about to break it. Oh, it does pop off. So if you have memories of the Genesis, you'll remember that this is where you plugged in your Sega CD. And it looks like they went through the effort of actually including that port here. Now, I have seen in Japan that you can purchase a Sega CD Mini and a 32X Mini and use those to create like the Tower of Power, as it was called back in the day. I don't know that we'll be getting those here. I haven't heard anything either way. I'm really struggling to get this cover back on. maybe let me use my dominant hand here and see if I can't put that back into place. It would figure that I'd mess this up on camera, right? There we go. And there's the hardware. Now, Sega did give me one little thing at E3 that I kept, and it should work. We're gonna try it out. I got this cute little Sonic the Hedgehog 2 cart, and you can plug it into the top of your Genesis Mini. Now, these don't do anything. I want to clarify that, but how cool is that? You just have your Genesis with a tiny little cart. That's a pretty slick looking setup. I wish that Nintendo had done something like this for the SNES Classic or the NES Classic, where we could have little, storage media to make it look the way it did when it was sitting on our entertainment centers all those decades ago. So that about covers the entirety of what's available in the Genesis Mini. I hope you had a good time checking out the hardware with me, opening up the box, and talking about some of the games. We're going to have a ton more on the Genesis Mini, including a preview here, probably the same day you're watching this, and a full review much closer to launch. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to Game Explained for much more on the Genesis Mini and all things gaming as well. We'll catch you next time. Bye!